Welcome back to Scale Up Summit 2017 in collaboration with Fortune. I'm John Launius, Vice President of Vidzu Media, and I've been telling you, whether it's on the Facebook Live or whether it's live to tape for later, it's been an extraordinary day. I have talked with extraordinary business leaders, whether they're just at the beginning or whether they just scaled and sold. And what's been extraordinary about these conversations is the authenticity and the honesty about the struggles. Right. And so I've been hearing about you all day. So Shannon Susko. Yes. Now, for those who don't know, you are a top Gazelle coach. I mean, there's a whole list of things that we'll get into. Yes. But for you, what's important, first of all, about the Scale Up Summit?
Well, I think the biggest thing is coming to learn with others, right? So we come as CEOs with our teams to learn, but when you look around the room, there's 1,000+ other people who talk the same language and who want to learn the same thing. The biggest thing I learned in growing my own business is if you don't learn with your team, if you don't practice with your team, it's hard to win with your team. It's the exact same thing as an athlete with a team. If you don't practice together, it's pretty hard to win together.
So in your background, you have scaled 2 businesses and sold them.
Yes.
So why don't we start there? So for some people that are watching this or in that experience, you're like, okay, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to build it, I'm going to scale it, and then I'm going to be out.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that experience for you. Was that your original plan?
Yes. Okay. When we I co-founded my first business with 3 others. It was in 1995, so on the edge of the internet bubble. Seems like forever ago, but that was what you did. You started a business, you swung for the fence, and you were going to be out in 5 years. That's not what happened. In the first one, it took 10 years to scale it and sell it. With that, you go in with the intent that we have this problem solved, and we have the prettiest piece of technology. Our baby is so great. But we forgot about all the other things that you've got to do in order to really scale it up and hit it out of the park. And we honestly had no idea what we were doing.
Okay. So I can
take it from there.
Right. Well, so I can imagine in all of those experiences of the breakdowns and the breakthroughs in that process, you learned a lot about how to either coach yourself or coach others. So you're known as a top Gazelle coach. So again, many people that are watching the Facebook, I think, are seeing this for the first time. So what does it mean and what does it take to be a top Gazelle coach?
Well, as a CEO of 2 companies, I considered myself a coach. And when you coach someone, you're actually looking to grow them both personally and professionally. You need to understand what their goals are, and they need to align with the goals of the organization. And interestingly enough, I thought we did a good job of that in the first 5 years of our first business. We had a really strong culture. We had a really good team. What we didn't have, and I hadn't met Vern, I met Vern halfway through, but we just didn't have it all together. So we had a strong team. We were running around executing, but not really knowing where we were going. And so part of that is when you're building a team, a high-performing team, they have to believe in the direction you're going to take. They have to believe that they can get the first sort of near-term step, and they know what they need to do today. And laying out that clarity, over-communicating the clarity, having a consistent message. As a CEO is one thing, but then now you're the coach. That was a big transition for me, a coach of the coaches. And so I always think of it as I'm sitting in the stands now, and I'm coaching the coaches on the side of the field. Think of a soccer pitch, and the team now is on the field. And so I'm now the furthest away. So when I think about that, again, I need to know the same things as if I was a CEO. But now I just have to be smarter in how I can enable the CEOs I work with. How can I get them to see what took me so long to see as a CEO, but with the experience I have? And the questions that I get to ask and enables them to actually experience or actually, sort of self-awareness of themselves and team awareness. And I did that as a CEO. You have to be, to be, one of the top leaders out there, to be any CEO, you have to be self-aware of yourself. You have to be able to stand up and tell people, yes, I made a mistake. I did that many times.
So thinking about your self-awareness, talk a little bit about your core purpose.
Well, my core purpose, as a CEO and a core purpose as a coach is to grow people personally and professionally. And I got such a great opportunity to work with hundreds of people on my teams, and now I get to do that again. And the more I can get in front of people and share what we learned and how to scale up our businesses, share the framework that we put in place, and really, I don't want anyone to be as desperate as I was to grow a company.
Yeah.
That is the truth. It's why I coach today.
Got it.
Right, with that, the more I can get one to many, the more I can share that. Here's what we did. Please don't do it that way. And here's how we as a team learned.
Yeah.
The framework, and we learned the scaling up framework prior to Vern's first book. So it was in early 2000.
Got it. So we've been taking some feedback from Facebook about topics that the audience would like to know about. So one of them is female founder. So we're just going to take that title and I'm just going to say female founder.
Yes.
And discuss.
Well, honestly, I don't know if it was my upbringing, though I was very traditionally, brought up in a household where you were going to go to university and you'd probably get out and you'd get married and you'd have kids. And for some reason, I never got that message, or I did and I didn't hear it. And the one thing that I'm very thankful for is that I didn't hear that, and I was enabled by my family and my parents that I could do anything I wanted. And so I wanted to build a company, and no one really got in the way of that. Now, that sounds ridiculous because we hear all kinds of feedback that's really hard to grow up in corporate America, in any corporation. I think honestly, and the message I share a lot with young entrepreneurs, young female entrepreneurs, female leaders, is we have to use what we have. Meaning we all were given certain skills and certain competencies, and we've all honed them and we've practiced. And in order to grow, whether it's a company, a leadership team, grow personally, we have to first be aware of what those are, and then we have to understand how do we leverage them to actually achieve the success we set out to.
So one of the things that I notice is that, the list of your accomplishments and the things that you've done, they're very, very long. So one way that people could find out more about you is your 2014 book. So talk a little bit about that book.
Yeah, so when I sold my second company, and I was in contract with the acquirer for a couple of years, and lots of people approached me and they asked me the question that Vern always asks is, how did you do that? How did you scale up not one but two businesses? And so I'd explain to them how we did it, and then I kept getting asked the question. So, and that's actually how I became a coach, because people kept asking me, and would I work with them, to actually show them how to do it. And so I thought, well, I said it out loud, and I only said it once. I said I should write down what we did. And I'm going to be really prescriptive, and I'm going to take it step by step through every area that we worked through, and we constantly iterate through to get better and better. And I'm just going to write it down. And it was I can tell you, writing a book was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's probably the last thing I ever thought I would ever do. But it was the best thing I ever did, because writing it down got it out of my head, out of the leader's head that we built this framework with, out of Vern's, and put it out there on paper. And it's been an amazing, amazing experience.
So as a top Gazelle coach,
yes,
some people watching may have never participated. Leave us with something that you always want to share, something that that you know is valuable.
Well, I grew up being an athlete. And I did sports, individual sports, and I played many team sports at a high level. We never went to the championship game. We never reached our goal without a coach. And so no matter what, whether you're a coach or not, whether you even thinking about a coach, you need a coach to get to the end goal. You need someone just looking over your shoulder, helping you guide and carry you through to whatever goal you want to make.